You've seen the houses people bought back in 2022, yet the pre-approval letter you just received has such a low number. That's it. It feels unfair. It feels like you've been robbed of your buying power because of today's rock high interest rates. But here's the crazy part. Even that number is still a trap, and one that could lead to a huge financial mistake if you're not careful. I'm gonna break down 3 common salaries right here in Atlanta and show you what you can currently buy in today's market. And at the end, I'm gonna give you a formula that allows you to take back control so you won't be house poor. First up, let's take a look at a $75,000 annual salary. That's pretty common for a young professional here in Atlanta. And if that's you, that works out to be about $4,750 every single month of net take-home pay. So you're ready to stop renting, you want to buy your first home, start building equity. Chances are you're going to be looking at an FHA loan to do that. So you've been playing around with these calculators, you've been putting numbers in to see what you could potentially qualify for. And even based on what was possible just a couple years ago, probably hoping for something in the low 300,000s or even higher. But your lender gets back to you with that pre-approval letter and it says, congratulations, you're pre-approved for a house up to 268,000. And you think 268,000, well, that's disappointing. That's not going to get me into the neighborhoods that I was interested in. Now let's take a look at that payment on that $268,000 house. And we're going to go to an affordability calculator that I have right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in that your annual income is $75,000. You're single in this scenario, so we're going to keep your tax filing status as single. You may or may not have debts, but for the purpose of this calculation, we're going to say that you don't have any. If you have a car, you've paid it off. You're not carrying any credit card balances. You've paid those off as well. You don't even have student loan debt. Congratulations. I'm not factoring any of that right now. If you did have that and you were using this calculator, you'd want to put it in where you see monthly debts. We're going to assume that you're going to buy something within the city limits of Atlanta. And this basically just breaks down what the property taxes would be in the different cities if you're within city limits. Now, the loan type, we're going to switch from conventional. We're looking at FHA. It's a lower down payment. It's 3.5%, as you can see. And the average rate for an FHA loan today is 6.5%. So that's what we're going to go with. And it's amortized over a 30-year period, which means you've got 30 years to pay back the loan. So let's take a look at what we get. So the lender in our scenario approved you based on a 35% debt to income ratio. That's the US average for FHA loans. And it's basically, they look at your annual income. They say no more than 35% of that can be used towards qualifying for a mortgage payment. And it's 35% of the annual divided by 12 to figure out what it is on a monthly basis. So that's how they get you to 268,000 using a 35% gross income. It's basically your debt to income ratio. Now the payment breaks down as 1664 is your principal and interest. Then you've got your property taxes of $311 every single month. You've got homeowners insurance at $101 and your mortgage insurance premium is $121 every single month. That brings you approximately to $2,200 a month to be able to afford a house up to $268,000. So you take your take home of $4,750 and you've got a payment of roughly $2,200, well, that's roughly 46% of your overall take-home pay. That doesn't even include all of your utilities and internet, and you've got a lot of month left over after. You've got potentially a car payment, you've got food you got to pay for, entertainment, lots of different things, clothes, right? So how does spending almost 50% of your take-home pay on a house feel when you're getting your first house? Well, probably doesn't feel very good, but that's what the lender says you're technically qualified for on paper. As a matter of fact, they can even push this all the way up to a 50% ratio if you have the right credit, if you have stable income, if you have enough reserves, aka cash sitting in your bank account. Check this out. You could theoretically get approved for a house all the way up to $382,000. Wouldn't that be cool? Well, it would until you find out what the payment would be. The payment on this thing would be $3,130 every single month. So this number here is suffocating. The US average of 35%, the 268, is still tight. Both of these numbers are traps, and that's what you're going to find on your pre-approval letter. So what's the smart number? Now, you're not going to like the house price. Now, the play here isn't to get depressed over this number. I know what you're thinking. 194,000. You can't buy anything in Atlanta for 194,000. Well, I'm going to show you a couple of possibilities here in just a moment, but the idea is not to get depressed, but to get strategic, because I'm not sure if you realize this, but you're not going to live in the first house that you buy for 30 years. You're not going to see that mortgage paid off while you live there. You might see it paid off if you eventually turn it into a rental property, which is super smart when you buy your next one. All you got to do to buy your next one while keeping your first one is to save up the down payments, but that's for a different video. No, it's time to get tactical about this. So let me show you what you can buy in Atlanta today for up to $194,000. Now, the first house I'm going to show you is inside the perimeter, because chances are if you're a young professional, then you're going to be working ITP, right? So this is in Decatur. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, approximately 1,300 square feet, and it's been completely renovated, all for $190,000. It's a nice little starter home, and that's exactly what it is. Now, if single family is not your thing and you would rather look at a townhome, we can do that as well. You got to know about this. So when you get your pre-approval letter and it says that you're qualified for whatever number, right? 200,000, 300,000, that's all in. Don't go looking at condos and townhomes that are right at 300, because the lender will factor in the HOA fee. And so you have to kind of work backward, because the lender is not approving you for the purchase price. The lender is approving you for the overall payment. Think about it that way, and this makes a lot more sense. You've got this one over here for $175,000 in Lithonia. It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It's nice on the inside. It's been renovated as well. It's got new floors, new paints. And if condos are more your thing, well, we've got this one that's over here in Smyrna. Now, Smyrna is a great location, right? This is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, under 1,000 square feet. So it's definitely on the smaller side. It's $159,000, call it $160,000. But as you can see, these are 3 move-in ready properties. So a lot of people, their first reaction will be, there are no homes left in Atlanta under $200,000. Those homes that are left are major fixer-uppers, or they're in the worst parts of town that are riddled with crime. Not necessarily. So do your homework. You can see that there are still some possibilities out there. Next, let's take a look at a household earning $125,000 per year. This couple is bringing in every single month about $8,200 after taxes. We'll call it $8,167. And this could be a married couple with very young kids, like it could be a teacher, project manager, something like that. And they need more space. They need room for the kids. Schools are starting to matter more as well, and they have enough saved up to be able to put 10% down. So we're going to be looking at a 10% down conventional loan. So we'll calculate it, and your pre-approval letter, congratulations, it shows that you're qualified for $579,000. So let's dive into what that looks like. Now, that $4,486 payment is huge when you consider that you're taking home call it $8,200 every single month after taxes. This is 55% of your take-home pay. Is that comfortable? I don't think so. I don't think that's comfortable for anybody. There's not enough month left to cover everything else and still be able to live comfortably. Now, this is the bank's number. This is one of the traps. And this is why I always say you've got to do what's in your best interest. And the lender is going to try and get you to do what's in their best interest. So these calculators are very helpful, specifically this one, because I've built into it what the safe number is. So if you take a look at what I recommend, which is the 33% of net, then you're going to look at a house that's $352,000. It's over $200,000 less. Now, what does that do to the payments? Well, instead of having a payment that's $4,500 a month, you now have a payment that's closer to $2,700 a month. Think of it this way. That $1,755 that you're saving every single month by buying a $352,000 house instead of a $579,000 house works out to be over $21,000 a year. What would you do with an extra $21,000? I mean, you could accelerate your retirement investing. You can fully fund children, college accounts, Roth IRAs, all that stuff. You have a lot of opportunity for wealth building, right? Because you're not house poor. So if you're in the market for a single family home, you've got this house over here in Fairburn. This is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath for $350,000. It's 2,300 square feet, really nice on the interior. If townhomes are more your thing, then for $300,000, and again, we're looking at a lower purchase price because of the HOA fees. If you considered living in Stonecrest, you can get this one for $300,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. That's roughly 2,100 square feet, which is a really good size for a townhome and it's got a 2-car garage. And if condos are more your thing, then for $300,000 in Kennesaw, Cobb County is very popular. You can get this one here over in Ridenour. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, almost 1,800 square feet. Now let's take a look at a $225,000 level of income. So it's obviously a more established household. It's a family. They've got kids that are getting a little bit older. And now they're starting to consider what house to buy to be their forever home. And at this level of income, their take-home pay after taxes, it's approximately $14,000 every single month. And they're going to be looking not at a 10% down conventional, but they've got enough saved up now for a 20% down conventional. Either they had it saved up or that middle house that they sold, they took the equity of that and they're putting it into the next house. So what do you think that number is? What do you think the lender would approve this borrower for? So at $225,000, if they went all the way up to 45, we'll call it 43 for the purpose of this calculator here. It's $1 million house. It's $1.2 million to be exact. Not bad, right? What kind of a payment does that come with? Almost $8,100 every single month. $8,100 out of $14,000 take home. Like $14,000 seems like a really big number, but when you're taking $8,000 and you're left with less than $6,000, that's over 60% of your take home. And that doesn't even include utilities, HOA fees, the cost of maintaining a house, because if you have a house like this, chances are you're paying somebody else to do the landscaping. Like there's a lot of extra expenses that go into a more expensive house. So you'd find yourself on the real wrong side of affordability if you were to buy a house at this level, my take, right? So what's more reasonable than that? Well, oftentimes banks will also use a 28% of gross. At 28% of gross, you're looking at something closer to $780,000. Now at $781,000, your mortgage payment is roughly $5,256 every single month. And that's definitely a lot better than $8,000 plus, but is it the right move? Now, wealthy people don't ask if they can make a payment. Wealthy people ask, what's the smartest thing I can do with my money? So what's the smart number? And you know where I'm going with this, 33% of take home. 33% of take home will drop that price of the house by almost $100,000. So you go from $781 down to $683, but you can still get a lot of really nice houses for $683,000. Now that payment's $4,500, almost $4,600. So you're saving about $662 there. At this point, you're making your money work for you, not just for your house. So what exactly can you get for $684,000? Well, the answer to that is a lot. And if I'm going to look at single family homes for these next 3 examples, because I think that if you're at this stage of your career, chances are you want a single family house. Does that mean that there aren't exceptions and people still want townhomes and condos? Absolutely. But it's my video. I'm going to show you 3 single families. So if you want to live in Alpharetta, you've got this one here for $675,000, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, just a hair over 3,000 square feet. Nice family home. And then you've got this one over here in Suwannee. Suwannee also has been red hot over the last couple of years. This is $675. It's a 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath. Check out that square footage. It's 4,200 square feet. And this one has a finished basement. And then you've got this one over here in Marietta. So this is West Cobb. It's Hillgrove High School, which is very popular. It's a 5-bedroom, 5-bath on over 4,500 square feet. And it's got an unfinished basement. So it goes to show you how big this house is, because at 4,500, it's not counting finished space in the basement. So I've said it before, but if you want to see the inside pictures of any of these houses, just check the description. All of the links are there. So what exactly is the 33% net rule? Well, it's very simple. Basically, you take your actual monthly take-home pay. That's after your employer's removed your taxes, your contributions to 401, anything that comes out of your pay. It's basically the amount that hits your account, and you want to know what your monthly amount is. So you take your monthly amount and you divide it by 3. Super easy. That number is what your housing payment is. And your housing payment is your mortgage, which is your principal, interest, property taxes, and property insurance. If you keep that number at under 1/3 of what your take-home pay is, you have a lot left over to cover everything else you're going to need to support that house and to support the life that you want to live. In other words, you won't be house poor. Now, if you'd like to play around with the calculator that I use in today's video, all you got to do is go to my website. I created them, and I've got not one, not two, but 3 different calculators for you to use, starting with this own versus rent calculator. And if it makes more sense for you to rent, it's going to tell you. I'm not holding anything back. Then you've got the how much house can I afford calculator, and I've got a great mortgage calculator. Now, I built this tool for Atlanta specifically. So when you choose a city, it's going to pull the tax rate for property taxes for that specific city, giving you a more accurate number. No other calculator out there does that. Best of all, it's free and you don't even have to register to use it.